Welcome back, everybody. This is session 6, and we've been talking with Willi Humbeck, who came here from Germany. And what year was it, Willi? Did you venture?
1965.
In 1965, he and his wife and his son ventured over here from Germany, and he's been sharing with us his wonderful life. So today he has some more wonderful information to give us about his life. So here you are, Willi.
Well, hello out there, you wonderful people. Well, I think, I'm not sure if I told you the story last time about when I was healed, when the miracle happened to me again. But it doesn't hurt to hear maybe 2 times. For 7 years I had what they call bleeding ulcerative colitis, terrible disease. You always have the feeling that you have to go, and you go and nothing comes out, because I was on a special diet, just I could eat food out of cans, no fresh food. So anyway, it was a terrible disease. Then I started for Xanax. Now this is actually before I started selling. This has all to do with it. So I was working for Xanax after the mishaps in constructions. And there I still had the bleeding. And one morning a guy came to me, his name was Eugene. He said, "Hi Willi, I really didn't know much. I know his face, he always had a nice smile. And I know his name, Eugene, not more." And he came to me, he said, "Would you be so nice and go with me over there in that corner so we are by ourselves, and I would like to hear about disease." And I said, okay. So we went over there and I started talking about the disease I had in details. Like for instance, you always had the feeling to go, and you did go, but nothing but blood came out. So when I was talking and looking at him, he turned his color, but to make it short, he fell off the chair. He was out. So everybody came running in the cafeteria. What happened? And so I said he wanted to know about my disease. The ambulance came and picked him up. And guess what? Next day I was sitting in the cafeteria again. So other people too, of course. And there came Eugene with the same bright smile, wonderful, warm smile. And I said, "Eugene." He said, "Willi." And he says, "Would you mind going with me in my car and we pray?" I said, no, of course not. So we went into his car and he started praying. Now I have to say one thing. I never learned, I always make up my own prayers, actually, beside the, what's the
Lord's
huh?
The Lord's
Yeah. So, and he started praying, and I listened to it, I understood everything. About 1 hour long, and something happened in me which is unexplainable. I got a wonderful feeling, and I even could feel something in my intestines. Well, then the hour was gone, just about an hour. And I got up, and I knew something had happened. I felt actually like I used to feel when all this happened, when I came over to the United States, healthy. And so we hugged each other, and it just so happened that came all together a couple of days. Now I must mention here, I had already my lecture place. I had a friend, the president of the Farmers Union, Tom Steichen, and he talked together and he said, "Really, 1 more year, then I retire and can enjoy my lecture place." Now I have to mention here, I had a lecture place too, on Lake 6, but it was not livable. It was just for weekends and vacations. So then they announced one morning Tom had died overnight. Well, that was very shocking because nobody knew, and he wasn't sick really. So this all came together, and then with this miracle, I felt better, and I had 3 days later, never forget that, an appointment with a specialist, Dr. Reinmar Belz. He was specialized on this. I had to always go there. And he told me what would happen if it wouldn't heal, if it wouldn't get better. I got already the papers, and well, I really didn't like it. And I don't really want to mention what would have happened. Maybe some people of you know had that disease too. You would get a little back here. Never mind. So I came home and said to my wife, now this was already like the miracle happened. I still saw Eugene every day, and there wasn't many days that I had to go to the specialist. And I got there, and he cranked me up. In those days, they didn't have the instruments like today. This was a steel pin, or call it whatever, like my finger, the same size even, and there were certain instruments in, and it was connected to a hose. So it cranked me up and put that thing in my butt all the time, and I screamed. I never forget, he always said, man, don't scream, they all ran home. So this time, and I knew it already, because the bleeding had stopped. So when he shoved that thing in, nothing to it, he said, what happened? And I said, what? He said, I cannot even see a scar. And I was full of, I don't know, I didn't count them, but there were several bleeding ulcers in there. So, and I laughed, and I said, boy, you did a good job, not to hurt his feelings. And maybe that was dumb that I said only that. So anyway, after that, I went once again to work, but I knew already it was all gone. And that was the day, I don't know if I told you. I don't know, I have the feeling I told you that story before, but we didn't know where to start. Anyway.
It's good.
Yeah, one more time I went over to overcheck it. He says, man, I don't know why he said that. Now, but I don't know. He offered me that I go and study and become a doctor. And I thought he was joking. I looked, what? No, he says, I mean it. Well, I said, I have a family, I have to make some money. He says, I pay for everything, everything. Your family, your study. He says, and I got many, many connections. I think in about 4 years you will walk the floor. Truly, I couldn't believe it, and I declined. Now today I could cook my butt. But see, at the time there was still one thing, I didn't know how my life would be, and I was thinking, man, that old and still go to school and study. So anyway, I didn't take it. Yeah, so I was healthy, and then I started up. Oh, then I came home and told my wife about Tom Steichen died. And I said, see, he looked forward and enjoying his lecture place. Now we can't do it anymore. I said, how about us? Why don't we give up everything again and move up to our lecture place? And there I will see that I start some kind of business. And if that doesn't work, then we both can work for Swift. See, we never were afraid of work. So, and she said, oh yeah, because she liked it up in the country too. So to make it short, we moved up, step by step. I had a little, so I sold my brand new Dodge Charger Special Edition a year before that. And so there was a guy who was interested in my car. Anyway, and I forgot his name, and bad. Anyway, he took my car for the same price while I paid for a year before. The name should come back. Anyway, so, and then we moved up piece by piece. And in about, we were now we moved totally up to our lake place. So in the meantime, I bought a little used mobile home because they couldn't live in the little cabin there. So that was done, then we moved up, and that was about July 1974. And the neighbor of mine, his name was Earl Shasky, he liked me so much that he said to me, you are my adopted son, which I really wasn't, but you know, he was a wonderful person. And he used to be a salesman for Harper Industrial Brushes, Fairfield, Iowa. And so one day I brought him to the doctor again, and we still were in the cities. And he said, you can do it. Well, I said, if I make $100 a week and got my gun, I can live off the land. So anyway, when the time came, he brought me in contact. He was not working anymore. He was already 71 years old at that time and retired. So the regional, whatever they have that title, backshot came up from Iowa, Mr. Peace, so we talked it all over. So I had to invest $2,000, which I didn't have. Guess what? At the bank in the air, they hardly knew me. They gave me a loan of $2,000 to buy the brooms I had to buy, to get the best price to make profit. Yeah, and then Willi started pedaling, selling. Some call it pedaling, but it's all the same. And yeah, and it's rolled up very, very good right now. The last trip we had from the cities, we had our birds in there. Cats we had before too, but now we had only birds. And yeah, worked all out well. In no time, like in 1975, we could go the first time back to Germany in style, beautiful. Yeah, and so on, and then it got better and better. And first I was thinking of making it a bigger enterprise, but then I was thinking of my age. And I thought, no, it's going well. That's all what you wanted. You reached your target, which I did. If I think of, starting in the ditch as a pipe layer. Yeah. Now, and I think actually that is where we ended last time. Oh my God, man. Who could have
It's okay. It was a good review.
So, yeah. Let me think now all the things which are. So first of all, I did my sale. We enjoyed fishing. We enjoyed all the good things. And then of course, no, that's actually it of my career. Life went on, and then in 2007, my wife had a stroke. And it was a real full throttle stroke. And they brought her up from the Elt Hospital to Fargo. And there she was for 5 weeks. And I went up there, of course, every day. But at that time, I always went home and did still my job. After 5 weeks, she was in such good shape, they sent her home, and it was like nothing happened. But they warned us it could happen again. Yeah, so, and guess what? In 2011, one day I made a big delivery to Fargo, to Carino's restaurant. They bought a lot of stuff from me. And it was a Monday, I think a Monday the 6th of February 11. We had a nice, call it lunch, dinner or supper, whatever, nice eating. I had my glass of wine, Margaret had one too, which she usually doesn't do, I remember that. So yeah, and then we went home, and that was already now late afternoon. Well, I was walking up and down in our living room and told her what we would do next day, because now I wanted her as often as I could have her with me, which I always wanted, but she didn't want to go with me. But now she did, and told her what we would do the next day. And she didn't say anything anymore. She was sitting in her recliner, and I looked over there. She wanted to speak. Her mouth was getting open, so I knew right away. That was again a stroke. So I called the ambulance, and they came, and in no time, the ambulance, I have to say, they were really on the ball. So they brought them to DL again, and I, of course, in pursuit with my car right behind them. And when I got in the merchandise room, she was laughing with the guys and talking, and I looked, and there was the doctor. He even was laughing. She was making jokes. I couldn't believe it. And the doctor said, well, she had a little mini stroke, so you can pick her up tomorrow. So I went home. I had a good feeling. Went home. Next morning I came. Now this was the emergency doctor, I reckon. I never saw him again. There was now a lady doctor. I forgot her name too. Man, what's the matter with me? I'm getting old. So Riddle, Dr. Riddle. There was her husband. I never met him. This lady, Dr. Riddle. And I said, I came to pick up my wife, and I could see my wife walking in a walker. And while she said we would like to keep her here for observation, I said, I don't mind that, but please bring her right away to Fargo. No, she said, we can handle it here. And I said, no, I don't think so. She said, how can you say that? I said, if you know what you were doing, she would have that big shoe on already. Because her foot was standing that here the first time, and the shoe straightened out, and now the second time the foot was standing here again, and she did not even know what. I said, don't you see that foot? I said, she needs a big shoe. She came that way. She said, you don't got one. Well, I said, please send her to Fargo. I think I should have gotten Ruth, but I'm not that type of guy. No, she didn't. Then the next day I came, there she had that shoe on, but I still wanted her to Fargo, and they didn't do it. So finally, how was it again? Finally, after 8 days, they brought her to Fargo, and then it was too late. They couldn't, So she stayed there for a while, and then they said, well, there's nothing we can do here more than what they can do in DL. And we're all different doctors anyway. So I picked her up with in the meantime, minivan. They gave me one of their vans with a ramp. Yeah. Jeff, the boss there, wonderful person. They're all wonderful person. So I picked her up with that old van, and then we decided to stay in Oak Crossing. And then I started giving her treatment again, but nothing helped. And then I heard about Diamond Willow. So we rode her to Diamond Willow. And then one day when I picked her up on a Saturday, at that time, I picked her always up at certain times. I cooked and we ate, and I brought her back in the evening to Diamond Willow. Now one day I picked her up again, it was a Saturday. Now I always kept now time went by, now it was already 2012. On one Saturday, was it the 11th of February? It was all in February. So I was cooking again. So like I said, she was in Diamond Willow now, and that Saturday morning I picked her up and cooked, and we ate, or wanted to eat. I never forget the time, 12:30. All of a sudden, I even don't like to talk about it, but I do. A curtain came down, and I was sitting in the dark. I lost my eyesight. Then nobody knows that feeling, and I don't want you to know it. I hope it never happened to anybody. So I collected myself and said, darling, I cannot see you anymore. She said, shut up. And why? I always try to make her laugh. And I said, this is nothing, not a joke. This is the truth. I cannot see you. Bang! The door opened. It was my friend Anderson, the ambulance man. I said, Marv, where did you come from? Well, he said, where do I come from? Your wife just called us that you cannot see anymore. Now you figure that one out. First, how could he be there right where I've been still talking, my eyesight is gone. Huh? So, and then she could not get up. The phone was on under, now we lived in a mobile home, in a big mobile home.
Sure.
She could not get there, and if she would gotten there, she couldn't get up out of the chair. Well, she said, she called us now, I wasn't ready to argue. So then they took me and brought me up to the hospital in the air. Could see.
Right.
And I suppose, yeah, obviously they took care of Margaret too. So that was now, like I said, I never forget the time, 12:30. And I was laying there, of course, praying, talking to God Almighty. And I don't think I couldn't cry, I don't know why. I said when my wife died, I couldn't cry. Anyway, then Sunday morning, a guy came in, no, he says, not you. It was the preacher of the hospital, I forgot his name. Rather young man. I said, yeah, me. I said, come on, let's pray. He says, that's why I came. So we prayed, and again, I never knew then, and still I don't know how to pray in English, which I do, but my own prayers, not when they pray, the complete, So we prayed, and I mean, I understood everything, and I didn't babble in German, I just listened. So, yeah, that was it. Then Monday morning came, and I said, well, what other choice did I have? It was already daylight, and I opened my eyes, and guess what? I could see people, how they are built, the frame, and the inside, could see the people, but not their faces.
Okay.
So, yeah, but that's how it started to get my eyes back. Yeah, and then they put me right away. Then my son came, he says, it's better to sell your place. And I had, well, call it given up or what. I thought, well, you never can sell again. And with my eyes, so they put me in Diamond Willow too with Margaret in one room. And that's when everything started, that I took care of my wife. The eyesight came back, but my place was sold in no time because I wasn't involved and I didn't really care if it was giving away. So he sold it under the value, and well, here I was now, taking care of Margaret. And I was praying, we were praying. I did a lot of stories, tell her about the Bible and what, and really come from my heart, did then and now too. Everything comes from my heart. And yeah, and I said, darling, does that bother you? No, she said, I really enjoyed. So I preached a lot. Yeah, for 8 years I was hoping another miracle would happen. But of course, I see it as a miracle anyway. Still, today I don't understand. But it is true that a person can lay for 8 years in a chair, will be lifted every day if she had to do the business, and lay down again. Will be lifted again from the chair to the bed every day. She could not make one step. 8 years. And So I had some arguments, but the thing was, they didn't want me to allow to be with her all the time, in her room, day and night. And I said, well, open your heart and think. Think you were in that situation and so helpless. So most of them, oh yeah, we are. And so, but I had to rent an apartment because in a way it was not allowed what I did. So, but I didn't use that apartment. Oh, no, I didn't use it at all. So then we went from Diamond Willow to a private place which you can forget about. From the private place back to Diamond Willow because they said, really, I don't think it will work, come back then. So I went back with Margaret to Diamond Willow. Then Diamond Willow could not take care of Margaret anymore. So we went to Staples for 4 weeks, usually allowed only 14 days. They tried different medications. At that time she was still on, I brought her down from 28 to 12, still in Diamond Willow. I didn't allow that anymore. And the doctors agreed. They said, we don't know what Willi had any, I think that was nice. And Dr. Henke, he was a good doctor. Yeah, from Staples then, they couldn't do anything anymore either, just she was on 8 medication. They sent us to New York Mills. So then after 7 months it was a good place. They took care of her, but always she couldn't walk. So in the summertime, I put her in my car every day. We used to drive to Burgess, down on Long Lake on the beach. Every day. She was sitting in a wheelchair, and I was walking up and down or sitting with her and talk from time back, which helped a lot, and talking about God and the world, and watching the birds and what all about. So anyway, then can you imagine from New York Mills to work? That's a good trip.
Yeah, it is.
2 times a day at least.
Oh, wow.
So then they closed. Oh, that was so bad that some people cried. They were there for quite some time and it was a good place. They closed the nursing. Later on, I heard they are open again, but just for low-income people, but no handicapped people anymore. So then from New York Mills, we went to Perm. And that was actually the place I wanted to be. I don't know why I liked Perm, And once I talked to a nurse there, and she was so nice. And guess what? She called, she had heard that they closed. And she said, Willi, you can come up now. I have a place for you and Margot.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we moved up there, and I rented an apartment. Everybody nice, but that nurse, which called me, boy, did she change. Very nice and everything. And every week she had a meeting, ridiculous, this and that. And I said, girls, there were then 2 other girls under her. I said, I agree with everything, but just never, like I had a sense, never take me away from my wife out of a room that I can stay with her. Oh, no. We wouldn't do that. Just 4 days later, that nurse, she says, you can see your wife only now from 7 o'clock in the morning to, 7 o'clock in the evening. And then you have to go, like that. And I thought she was joking. I said, remember what you promised me? Yeah, well, we cannot do that anymore. The tone are rolling. Me don't do that. So I said, come on now, Jennifer, let's negotiate. Because we were, good, like friends. No negotiation. Like that. I said, I was speechless. I didn't say one thing anymore. Drove down to Fresi, and there had a bed open. I said, you can bring her right away today. I said, that's the deal.
Okay.
So I picked my, put those few, she didn't have much anyway. I had more than ever. Put everything in my van there and drove her down. I didn't see that lady anymore, that would run, you know. So then I drove to Fresi, and that's where she died. And that's this month, 2 years ago.
Yeah, so
The
February
28th of February.
2019.
Yeah. And Fresi, I have to compliment too. In the most wonderful place I wanted to go, Perm. I'm sorry, I cannot say anything good.
Okay.
How can you?
Yeah, it's too bad.
Even at least if your tone would have been different. Yeah. Nope, cannot.
Yes, each one has its own rules.
Yeah. Well, the rule, yeah. But they made those rules too. Well, anybody else didn't do it. And everybody would have said, stay in the condition my wife was. Totally helpless. Yeah. Well, I'm looking at Heidi here. I should have looked at you. But now you see my side profile too. Huh?
That's right.
Well, I think even, yeah, then my wife died in Fresi. In Fresi, yes. I just was thinking of this place now. And it was a Thursday morning, 4 o'clock, like I had a sense. I woke up and she wasn't doing good at all. And I didn't go to bed anymore. I made a little light, and I was sitting beside her, holding her hand. Her hand was in mine. And she couldn't talk. The last few months she couldn't talk anymore.
Okay.
But she understood, and when I asked her something, no or yes, and she had a satisfied expression. And you, yeah, and then exactly 6 o'clock, she shook her head like this, had a satisfied face, and she was dead. Her hand got loose, and she was dead.
Okay.
And, well, that was it. And then I worried about myself, where to go now. I didn't have a place anymore. To my son, well, you know, that's not good, children. Sometimes it's good, children and old people together. And like I said, I'm old here, but my feelings are still young. You might believe it or not, even if I look ugly now. But I feel like 40, 50 years, that's true. Every day I got my treadmill. Shall I all that mention about my treadmill?
That's fine, sure. No, go ahead.
So every day I go on my treadmill 2 to 4 times, 2 times for sure, and walk up some calories and be in shape. Yeah, it's lamplighter they call it here. It's not assisted living or nursing. This is renting. So I've been renting 1 room, and I'm very, very satisfied. A very, very good place, very good people. And which mostly they were good people anyway, and if they were not good, I made them good, except that lady, I don't know, couldn't talk to her anymore. So, and now I'm sitting here with
In
Heidi.
Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Sharing
Long way
your
back to Germany. Oh, and then of course, I have a brother-in-law in Germany. My wife, she had 3 brothers. One is only alive. He's as old as I am. He wants me to come back, but you know, it wouldn't be my home anymore. I'm here 55 years, still have that wonderful accent. I don't want to get it off. So anyway, no, it's wonderful, and we talk together every Sunday. And yeah, I think I think, I've been thinking, that is actually the end of the story.
Yeah. Should we end there today?
Hmm?
Is that a good place to end today? Should
Okay.
we be done today?
Yeah, that's what I
Okay,
mean.
okay. Thanks for joining us. It was a really good story.
You know?
So, it is.
Well, I thought so too, and you might say, oh yeah, I know we all have a story. But I think mine is a little, I haven't heard anything matching it, but I'm convinced there will be somebody. But I've been thinking all the time if I had detailed enough. Well, I did my best.
And if you think of more, we'll make some more videos.
Yeah, then give it a little bit of time now.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something more back here in my mind,
Yeah.
which all of a sudden appears. And from now on, I will write that down. Just some letters, so once I'm reminded, then the whole story comes back. So then I travel a lot, on my business. I had the best time of my life in this country since I had the worst time of my life in this country. When I came, I talked about that. But I had 37 wonderful years of sales, and the years with Cenex were just best company I ever worked for. But then, of course, there were not many companies I worked for. Most of my life I was independent, you know. The 37 years as a Yankee Doodle peddler, that's a story. So one day I came to a customer school, that custodian needed some stuff, and there was one big Jim, I forgot his last name. I knew him, but I always had kind of the feeling.
Let's stop. We're gonna stop. I can always go back.